So welcome everyone at home around the world. Lovely that you can join us in this way. So please feel free to ask about anything you like.
Hi, Rupert, and hi, everyone at home and abroad. I'm Ricky.
Hi, Ricky. Nice to see you again.
Good to see you too. My question is about suffering. We talked about suffering a little bit over the weekend. I am trying to understand the truth about suffering and find a way to relate to it so as to bring an end to suffering for all beings. That's the aspiration. And right now, it seems to me that universal consciousness is indifferent to our suffering, that it's only in the heart of a human being where compassion actually arises. And it seems to me that universal consciousness allows suffering to occur. It allows it as well as it allows any other experience. You often say that the qualities of universal consciousness are the things that we most admire in human beings, but it also seems to have all the ugly qualities also, because there they are, here they are. And so I just want to understand, what's really, does consciousness create? It created, I didn't create us. I mean, I, small I, something much bigger created us, and it allows us to endure this misery. And I want to understand that in a way that's constructive, in a way that enables me to break through something, that maybe it opens my heart so that I can let go of some resistance. I'm afraid right now I'm a little mad at universal consciousness for putting us through this with no respite except this esoteric understanding.
Ricky, universal consciousness doesn't know about our suffering.
Okay.
Because suffering only takes place when universal consciousness has apparently contracted itself into a limited mind. And that contraction of itself into a limited mind involves the contraction of its innate qualities, the overlooking of its innate qualities. So suffering is only experienced from the point of view of a finite mind. So we experience suffering because we are finite minds, contractions of consciousness, but consciousness only knows suffering in the form of the finite mind. So it's not as if there is another consciousness out here beyond all of our minds that is looking down on our suffering, simply allowing it. No, the universal consciousness only knows suffering in the form of our finite minds. And the experience of compassion is what happens when our finite minds become transparent to their reality, namely infinite consciousness. So compassion is the shining of the innate qualities of infinite consciousness in the finite mind. So infinite consciousness by itself, it neither knows about our suffering nor has compassion for our suffering. Suffering takes place in the finite mind from the point of view of the finite mind. And what we know of as compassion is an expression in the finite mind of the qualities that are innate in infinite consciousness. So don't be mad at consciousness for allowing suffering. Consciousness contracts itself into each of our minds. That's what enables each of our minds to be itself. But in order to do that, consciousness overlooks itself. It forgets itself. Mary falls asleep in London in order to become Jane on the streets of Paris. Mary knows nothing of Jane's suffering. She's fast asleep in London. It's only in the form of Jane that suffering is experienced, or that compassion is shown. And consciousness pays for this contraction of itself into a finite mind with its happiness. It gives up its innate happiness when it contracts itself into a finite mind. Why? Because it becomes limited, it becomes temporary, it becomes finite, it becomes a fragment. It is only in the form of that fragment that it feels something is missing, or I must defend myself.
Rupert, I want to end suffering in the world, and it seems to me the only thing I can do is wake up to my true nature.
You're right. It's
it
true.
Seems,
you're right.
I'm only
the only way to be free.
Billion. I'm sorry. Yes.
The only way to be free of suffering is to go to that place in yourself which is already inherently free of suffering. Meister Eckhart said, there is a place in yourself in which there is no sorrow. You have to find that place. You have to go to that place. You have to stand as that. And then, standing as that, communicate this understanding to whoever you come in contact with. That is the way to share. That is the way to end suffering in the world. First of all, to find that place in yourself that is free of suffering. In other words, find the place of peace, unconditional peace in yourself. And then communicate that to whoever you come in contact with. Whether you just come in contact with a few people or hundreds of people or thousands of people or millions of people, that's beyond your control. You just share it in whatever way you can with whomever you come in contact.
Yes, then that is what I will do. Thank you.
Thank you, Ricky. Nice to see you.
Hi, Rupert.
Hi.
Hi, my name is Stephen, and I live in Montana. Hi, and good to see everyone this morning. It was great to be on this retreat. And just a quick thank you to Francesca for what a great delivery mechanism this treat's been. It's not always the case that the technology follows the program, and I want to say thank you. You know, we can solve consciousness, but we can't solve audio visual stuff. So thanks for that.
Well, how beautiful that you can join us from Montana like this and just join us all here in Lincolnshire. Beautiful.
Yes, and I felt as close as I would in person. So thanks to the one for that. I wanted
thanks to Ron and Karen also for
yes.
making this technology possible.
Nice. I wanted to just kind of give you a little context for my question. I hate when people give you their meditation credentials, but I've been meditating for a while, and I've gone through different schools and kind of landed on the non-dual approach, actually from the quantum physics world. And I've been a fan of yours and Bernardo's separately. And I saw a a video a podcast of you and him together, and I went, "Wow, this is pretty fabulous." You know, I'm a true blue idealist. I think of it that way from a intellectual and physics structure. You know, when we reduce the world to its little tiny subatomic particles, it's just kind of a big buzzy soup, and how things appear to me are not actually the truth, but they're what I get to see, and I get that. One of the things that my question revolves around a comment that actually Bernardo made, and it was in deference to you. He said, you explained reality in a very eloquent, as you do, way, and Bernardo said, I'm kind of in awe being in the same screen as Rupert. I can't say it that quickly and or eloquently. And he said, and I thought this was touching. He said, I'm not there yet where Rupert is. I still suffer. I still have bad moods. But he did say something that I think is formidable, is that he said, but I accept that. And I think in all of these, schools, accepting where you are, what you're thinking, what's happening is the first step. And he said, but I don't make my anxiety my problem. And so he's at some stage. And for myself, when I'm at these retreats, so to speak, and I'm back here in Big, and it's out here, and I'm part of it, and it's part of me, and it's obviously very comforting, and I feel very a part of, for lack of a better term, and I act quite a bit that way, and it's a good view to come from, no doubt. My question is always sort of the same when I leave these things, is, while I'm sitting with everybody and I'm back here and I'm feeling that and I'm wide, and all of that is kind of going through me, and I feel like I'm absolutely present. And when I look at pictures of Maharishi, he's got that kind of wide look, and I go, I can tell he's there, and he's wearing and he's wearing those funny little shorts, so obviously he's not part of this world. And I don't know if I want to gaze around like Maharishi does, but I would like to integrate, my daily life more than I do. And I always contract in, and I love the whirlpool analogy that I think Bernardo used, in addition to the Mary and Jane. And I swirl around and I feel a part of the stream, and when I'm in myself, I'm going down the hole, and when I open up wide, I'm coming out in the stream, and I run into other whirlpools, and we bump, and I go down again. So the question is simple. When I don't get to listen to you, if I had headphones all day, it might work fine, but I don't. How is it that I can stay large, day to day in my daily stuff? Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah.
Thank you.
Sorry, just remind me your name again.
Stephen.
Stephen.
Yes.
Stephen, let me just say something first about, I feel compelled to respond about what you said about Bernardo in that conversation where he said, I'm not there yet. We all have our blind spots. And Bernardo exhibits so many of the qualities and characteristics of one in whom this understanding is present and alive. And so sometimes we're not the best judge of where we stand in terms of spiritual maturity. But I hold him in the highest esteem, and I think he displays many of the qualities, dignity, humanity, humility, sensitivity, intelligence, compassion, so many of the qualities that are the qualities, as we said this afternoon, the qualities of the divine, the divine qualities, the qualities that come from our true nature of awareness and not from the sense of separation. So
that came through very clearly in that podcast too.
and this understanding displays itself in different ways in different people. In some people it displays itself more in terms of peace, some people's joy, some people love, some people humor, some people intelligence, some people compassion, some people dignity. It's different in different people. So Stephen, on to your question. How can you remain in touch with this understanding more in your everyday life? Simply make it your practice, Stephen. Whenever your attention is not required by the world, so simply make it your practice to step back from the content of your experience, to disentangle yourself from your thoughts, feelings, sensations, and perceptions. Recognize I am the space of awareness. Recognize, understand yourself as that, feel yourself as that, abide as that, even if briefly, 10 seconds between emails, 2 minutes between phone calls, whatever work or activities or relationships you're engaged in. Just make these little pauses in your life. Go back and remind yourself again and again and again of your essential nature of simply being or being aware. And for a while, you'll feel this back and forth. It's either the foreground of experience or it's the background of awareness. They'll seem to compete with each other for your attention. But in time, as you notice all these brief pauses throughout the day, in time you'll feel that they're not numerous pauses. They're numerous windows onto the same background of peace that is felt fully in the pauses between your activities. It remains present in the background. And more you just begin to feel this wall of peace behind you, this background of peace, no matter what is going on in the foreground. Sometimes your attention is required by the foreground 100%, in which case you may lose touch with the background. But as soon as your attention softens, even if you don't disengage completely, it softens from the foreground and the background of peace makes itself felt. And in time, you'll just feel this background of peace as your constant companion, sometimes faint in the background, sometimes more strongly present, but always there. That is your refuge. That's the place to live.
That's very good. Thank you. Yeah, I feel like I contract and expand and contract, and yeah. So that's just spend more time, being conscious of expansion as a backdrop and then as a place to be. Yes. Thank you.
Yes. Nice to meet you, Stephen. Thank you for joining us from Montana.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Hello, Rupert. My name's Marika.
Hello, Marika.
Hello.
Where are you calling from?
From Sussex.
Sussex, down the road. Okay.
Down the road.
Or a little closer, anyway.
A little closer. But thank you so much for doing this online. I feel so grateful. Your presence, the presence is palpable, even on the flat screen. So thank you. So I can be incredibly concise, but it might be too concise. So the question is...
It's hard to be too concise for me.
Okay. I'll give you a long story behind it, but I'll just say the question because it may be relevant for others as well. What is forgiveness?
The recognition that ultimately there is nobody there to forgive and nobody there to be forgiven.
And it feels like what I wanted to ask forgiveness for feels like a solid block to allowing myself to recognize the blue sky through the clouds.
Tell us, Marika, about the one who needs forgiveness.
Well, the moment you ask that, it becomes very small.
Very small or non-existent?
Small, I would say.
Tell us about it, about this small self that needs forgiveness. Describe it to us.
It's a pain.
No, that's a feeling. Describe self. Pain does not need forgiveness. Pain is a feeling. You don't need to forgive a feeling.
Okay.
Tell us about the small self who feels pain and that needs forgiveness.
It is a bundle of beliefs.
No, those are beliefs. They're not yourself. You are not a belief. Beliefs are things that you experience. Don't tell us about your feelings. Don't tell us about your beliefs. Tell us about I, the one that has those beliefs and feelings. I, the one who needs forgiveness.
Yeah.
Exactly. What happens to the need for forgiveness now?
It's like a cloud just dispersing.
Yes.
It's such a relief not to get entangled in so many stories.
Yes. Yep.
Thank you.
Thank you, Marika. Nice to meet you.
Hello, Rupert. My
Hello.
name is Mohan Rao. I'm calling from Tennessee in the US.
Hello.
And very nice to see you. I have been an atheist all my life, up until 6 years ago or so. Some switch happened and I've been on this spiritual path, soaking up information, digging too many holes. And I've arrived at your teachings, and I resonate with everything that you say. And my question is regarding karma and destiny. I've heard some teachings from Nisargadatta Maharaj and Ramesh Balsekar and Gautam. They say everything happens because of God's will. And if I'm not destined to awaken in this incarnation, it won't happen regardless of what I do or how many holes I dig or what I do. I just wanted to hear your comments on that.
I'm going to call you Mo because I can't remember the rest. Mo, I'm afraid, first of all, the bad news. You are not destined to awaken.
Okay. That's comforting.
Right. That's even worse than Ramana Maharshi and Nisargadatta. The good news is that what you are is already wide awake. If awareness were not awake, it would not be aware of experience. It's like saying if the sun did not shine, it would not illuminate the earth. If awareness were not awake, it would not know experience. You are knowing your experience now. With what? With awareness. Why? Because awareness is awake. It is knowing. Now you are knowing your experience. For instance, you are hearing my voice. You are aware of your thoughts. You are feeling your sensations. But is it not also your experience that you are aware? Yeah. Are you not now having?
Why does this karma exist then? The karma, concept of karma and Advaita, how does that fit into? You know,
it exists to explain the conditioning of the mind. But what you call awakening has got nothing to do with the conditioning of the mind. What takes place in the movie does not pertain to the screen. Awakening is the recognition of the nature of the screen. That is the nature of your being. Tell us about your being now. What's the first thing you can say about your being? About yourself?
I'm aware of my
no, don't. That's too much. Go back to the beginning. The very, very first thing before you say I am aware of. What's the very first thing you can say about yourself?
I'm alive. I'm conscious.
No, too much. I am alive. It's too much. Go back. Not quite so much.
I'm
perfect.
Okay, I am. I see. Okay.
But that's the first thing you know about yourself. Before you can say, I am alive, I'm aware of this. The first thing you know about yourself is, I am. Mm-hmm. Now, take the thought, I am now. Just say to yourself inwardly, say, I am. Now tell us about that experience. Don't allow the I am to be qualified. Don't say, I am aware of this, I am alive, I am just a pure I am. Tell us about that.
A sense of peace, I feel, when I recognize that.
Okay, perfect.
Calmness.
It's peaceful, yes.
Right. Mm-hmm. And
Anything
then I also I'm trying to figure out what all this is. You know, the whole thing that's happening.
Now you're moving away. You're going into thinking about everything that's happening. I just want to know about the I am. What you said, you have no idea, Mo, how profound your first statement about yourself is. If you understood that, mm-hmm. you would have understood everything there is to understand about enlightenment. You said, first of all, I am. Mm-hmm. The reason you can say I am is because you know that I am. You are having the experience of being.
Right.
The awareness of being. So when you say I am, what you really mean is, I know that I am. Mm-hmm. And then I asked you, what else can you say about yourself? And you said, I am peace. Right. I know that I am peace. Sat, Chit, and Nanda.
Right.
That's it. That's enlightenment. I know that I am peace. That's it. Don't add anything to that. That is the experience that is referred to as enlightenment.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
So you see, you were destined for awakening sooner than you realized.
I guess so. You're so right.
So if you find yourself losing that experience, if you find yourself qualifying the I am alive, I am a man, I am 75 years, I am living in, where was it? I am,
Anything, right? Yeah.
Then you limit yourself. Then you become a person. Don't allow the I am to be qualified. Just stay with the pure, I know that I am peace. That's it. Beautiful to meet you, Mo.
Thank you so much.
Hello, Rupert.
Hello.
My name is JJ, and I actually attended a couple of your workshops years ago in California. I now live in Colorado.
Okay, nice to see you again, JJ.
Yeah, it's been a long time. And in that time, I kind of stopped searching. And then I attended your Garrison event online and had a wonderful experience. My question is very similar to Ricky's. You know, she was asking, why is there suffering? I was thinking of the word evil. And you said something that I haven't heard you say before, and maybe it's because of my hearing. You said that when consciousness concentrated to be in a finite mind, it gave up happiness. I haven't heard that before. Is that?
Yes, but the nature of consciousness is peace. Because in consciousness's own experience of itself, it is whole, indivisible, lacking nothing, needing nothing. When it localizes itself in the form of each of our minds, it seems to become a fragment. It seems to become temporary. It seems to become finite. So it gives up its innate qualities. It overlooks its wholeness and seems to become a fragment. Just as when Jane falls asleep in London, she overlooks the nature of her mind. She becomes, when Mary falls asleep, her mind, she seems to become Jane on the streets of Paris. Jane is a fragment in Mary's mind. But Mary has overlooked herself. She's forgotten herself. She ignores herself. That's why it's called ignorance in the Vedantic tradition. So Mary seems to have become a fragment. Jane, infinite consciousness, seems to have become a fragment, each of us. And as a fragment, there are two defining qualities of the fragment. One, it lacks something, and therefore it needs to seek an object to complete it. And it feels vulnerable, so it has to resist experience to defend it. Hence, seeking and resisting, desire and fear, are the two existential feelings that define the apparently separate self. So in order to affect this localization of itself in the form of the finite mind, infinite consciousness must overlook itself, forget itself, ignore itself. And in doing so, it gives up its innate quality of peace and happiness. That is why the suffering is inherent in the separate self. But infinite consciousness leaves a trace of itself in the finite mind, in the form of its desire for happiness. And the desire for happiness is the golden thread that takes the separate self back to the infinite consciousness from which it arises.
I'm always I have lots of questions. They usually start with why. Why go through that whole thing?
Because consciousness is not just a static void. It is full of potential. It is vibrating within itself. And there is this potential in itself, which is always manifesting itself, but not for any reason. that there's no reason for manifestation. Any reason for manifestation would already be something manifest. It's for no reason. It's just the best we can say is just out of love, causeless love, just the same reason that an artist creates, for no reason, just this irrepressible urge to make the beauty that is experienced on the inside manifest as the outside, on the outside. Same reason that a couple would desire to have a child. There are no good reasons for having children. It's just this, it's just this love that they feel on the inside, this irrepressible impulse to make the love that is on the inside manifest as an object on the outside. It's not an accurate reason, but that's the, if I were to try to relate the impulse in consciousness towards manifestation, that would be the closest experience that we come to as human beings, the impulse of an artist or the impulse of a parent.
And yet when we, as whatever we are, recognize that we are awareness, so I guess we're awareness, it doesn't take anything but that recognition to be back into what we would call, you know, all those qualities are good qualities.
Yes. Yes, it just takes that recognition. It's simple. It's easy. It doesn't require 30 years on your yoga mat.
Yeah.
It's simple. There is this simple, direct path straight back to our true nature.
And I guess I can go back with questions. This seems to be the case.
But it's quite right, because as we go back again and again with questions, but our thoughts and feelings for some time still run, and our activities and our actions and relationships still run on the old operating system. Although we've had this recognition, the old operating system is still running. So we have to upgrade the operating system to align it with our new understanding. And that doesn't happen overnight, particularly in the realm of our thoughts. As I said earlier, that this afternoon, thoughts can change quite quickly, but feelings take much longer to align themselves, likewise activities and relationships. So you're right to continually ask questions. Your questioning is your way of upgrading your operating system, thinking, feeling, acting, perceiving, and relating. So you should keep asking questions until the questions leave you satisfied.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, JJ. Nice to see you again.
Nice to see you.
Hi, Rupert.
Hello.
Hi. Yeah, I'm John. I have a question.
Hello, John.
I have a question about the separate self and the sense faculties. So, for instance, a few months ago, I listened to a lot of your talks, and you were referencing a piece of beautiful classical music, for instance. And so my question is, like, take the hearing faculty and the joy of sound. I mean, I love music, I love jazz, and I play the piano. And just take another example of a sense faculty, taste. I like my spicy food. So my question is there a danger in enjoying things too much to gratify or indulge the senses? Does something like that just play up to the sense of separate self, which you then have to bring it down when because meditation is all about reducing that. I mean, how much can one afford or allow oneself to enjoy things of the world, as it were, or is it okay if you do it with a little bit of, or a large degree of awareness, for instance, and not just allow one just to disappear into the realms of
Okay.
gratification and indulging of the sense of, you know, that of sense of pleasure sort of thing. That's my question.
Yes. Okay. Okay. John, the question is really not whether or not we should enjoy the things of the world.
Yeah.
The question is, why are we motivated to do so? If there is a feeling of lack in us, a feeling of loneliness, a feeling of sorrow, a feeling of shame, and this feeling is so uncomfortable that we want to get rid of it, and that we notice that every time we go for a drink, or every time we go for a cigarette, or every time we go for a meal, or every time we go for sexual intimacy, or every time we go for the movie, this unbearable feeling of sorrow diminishes, then the reason we have gone towards the sensual experience is not really for the sake of enjoyment. It's to numb the feeling of lack. And we notice that as long as the alcohol lasts, as long as the cigarette lasts, as long as the food lasts, that we've noticed that the sense of lack is more or less successfully diminished or avoided. And then, of course, when the substance wears off, that the sense of lack has not really been dissolved or uprooted. It just comes back again. And then the mind remembers, last time I had that drink, it went away, so I go for another one. So this time we need a little bit more of it to have the same effect. Sure enough, when we have the glass of wine, the pain goes away. When the alcohol wears off, it just bubbles back up again. The mind thinks, oh, when I last had a drink, it went away. This time we need 3 glasses of wine. And hence the addiction begins. So that would be an example of enjoying sensual pleasure, not for its own sake, not really for the sake of enjoyment, but for the sake of escaping the sense of lack. And by doing so, we simply postpone it, perpetuate it, and ultimately deepen it. So in that case, instead of going for the object, we should pause, turn around, and investigate the one who is suffering, the one who feels ashamed, the one who feels guilty, the one who feels sad. However, it's also possible that there is a sense of fulfillment, ease, peace, joy, and that from that we may desire to enjoy sensory experience, a meal with a friend, or a drink with a friend, sexual intimacy, all kinds of sensual experiences, which can be a sharing and the celebrating of the peace and the joy that we feel in ourselves. And in that case, there's no danger in doing so, because there's no danger of the object or the substance or the person becoming an addiction, because they are not there to solve the problem of separation and its attendant suffering.
Okay.
So there's no danger. There's a danger in the first place because you need more and more and more of the substance.
Sure.
It leads to addiction.
Thank you.
But in the second case, there's no danger.
So basically the separate self is only relevant if you're running after these activities in order to like escape from the sadness.
In other words, John, in fact, the separate self is not really a self or an entity. It is the activity of seeking.
Okay.
And avoiding.
Sure.
So in practice, John, if you feel, let's say, it's early evening, you're looking forward to your curry, and you pause, then just sit down for 10 minutes and try to feel in yourself where the impulse towards the food
Mhm.
comes from. Is it because there's some uncomfortable feeling of loneliness or of sorrow in you that you know that the food will numb
Yes.
or prevent you having to feel? If it is the case, pause just for 10 minutes. Pause, and instead of avoiding the discomfort of the sorrow through food, turn towards it, feel it, face it,
Mhm.
welcome it in the space of awareness. Do the one thing you've probably never done. You've been escaping, possibly, I'm only suggesting possibly, you've possibly escaped from that feeling into food, substances, activities, and so on.
Sure.
Do the one thing you've never done. Turn around, face it, embrace it, welcome it,
Mhm.
love it. Just do that for 10 minutes and then go and cook.
Okay, great. Thank you so much.
Nice
you.
to meet you, John.
You too. Thank you.
Hi, Rupert.
Hello.
My name is Anne. I'm in Albuquerque.
Hello, Anne.
Uh, so there have been a lot of discussion in the last few days about, what the finite mind and matter and choice, and I'd like to see where my understanding is at and clarify some things that I don't
It was his
understand.
fault. Where is he?
So the finite mind is a localization of infinite awareness, right?
Yes.
And stuff, not matter, but stuff in the world is the activity of consciousness or aware being, right?
Yeah.
So the body is also stuff and activity of consciousness or being.
Yes.
And so there seems to be a one-to-one relationship between a particular finite mind and a particular activity of consciousness.
Yeah.
And it seems to be two-way. That is, the senses of the body are what awareness is aware of, and then the body can act based on the contents of awareness. But I'm not clear on what that relationship is exactly. Like how does it work, and
what the relationship between, you're not sure that what the
finite, but so a mind and a body, a particular finite mind and a particular body. That is how do they talk to each other, or like why do they talk to each other but nothing else talks to each other? How are they connected?
let me read you something from William Blake, which I can't remember. Francesca always makes me turn my phone off, so it takes so long to yes. With this, William Blake said this. He said, man has no body distinct from his soul. For that called body is a portion of the soul discerned by the five senses, the chief inlets of soul in this age. So man, let me translate that into modern English. Man has no body distinct from his soul. A person does not have a body that is distinct from their mind. That which we call body is that portion of the mind that is perceived by the five senses. That's an amazing thing to say. William Blake said that in the late 18th century. Incredible insight. A person does not have a body that is distinct from their mind. What we call the body is just the portion of the mind that is discernible to the five senses. That's the consciousness only model. What he's then let's put that in the context of our discussion. The reality of the universe is infinite consciousness. The universe is the universe as we know it is what the activity of infinite consciousness looks like from our localized perspectives. What is our local? So infinite consciousness localizes itself as the finite mind, and it views the unlocalized portion of itself as the universe. Now, what does the localized portion of itself look like? The body. That's why when you close your eyes, Anne, you don't experience yourself as a body. You experience yourself as a bundle of thinking, sensing, feeling, and perceiving. But we don't experience you as a bundle of thinking, sensing, feeling, and perceiving. We experience you as a body. You are what the localized activity of consciousness looks like from the point of view of another localization. The person does not have a body distinct from their mind. What we call the body is just that portion of the mind that is discernible to the five senses. William Blake was one of the great tantric masters of the Western tradition. So that's the relation. In other words, there is no relationship between the body and the mind, because there can only be a relationship between two things. The body appearance of the internal experience of mind. Internally, we experience mind. From the outside, that experience of mind appears to another mind as a body. The body is the extrinsic appearance of the finite mind. There's not a relationship between the two things because they're the same thing. There is no distinction between body and mind. There is no distinction between matter and mind. They are two phases of the same thing. One is the extrinsic appearance, one is the intrinsic appearance.
Okay, and so that thank you for that. That clarifies a lot of confusion. So the understanding or the misunderstanding or belief that I am a separate self, like what is an understanding or a belief? Like what is that made out of or stored in, since I carried it for decades in my life?
It's a thought, but it has a counterpart in our feelings. So we don't just believe that we are temporary, finite, separate selves. We feel that we are. And that is why the separate self or ego, the apparently separate self or ego, has so much, is so tenacious, because it's made of thoughts and feelings, not just thoughts. The belief in Father Christmas is not a feeling, it's just a belief, and therefore it's relatively easy to get rid of. But when belief is substantiated by feelings, it becomes very tenacious.
So if I, the other day in a meditation, one of the things that you said was feel that you are space, or the space of awareness, or something like that. And I was not able to do that. I I thought that I can understand and feel that I am that which is aware, but I feel like I am still small. And I would say in my head, but that's not exactly right, because it's like the sensations of my head are above and behind where I feel myself to be in the space of awareness.
Okay, close your eyes, Anne. Okay, you're a newborn infant. This is the first experience you've ever had. You have no memory to refer to, only refer to your current direct experience. So, except that you're a newborn baby that can think. What are your thoughts? Anything that appears must appear in something. So your thoughts are continually appearing and disappearing, referring only to your experience. What are your thoughts appearing in? To try to describe the medium in which your thoughts are appearing in.
Emptiness.
Perfect,
Or
whatever it is.
Like nothing.
But yes, exactly. It's empty of content, and hence there is room for your thoughts within us. Now, what about your feelings? You're a newborn baby. You're hungry. What are your? Sorry, that's a sensation. Take the sensations. No, take a feeling. Sorry, take an emotion. What are your emotions appearing in?
They're appearing in the same space, and they seem to be more spatial than thoughts.
Yes, but nevertheless, as you rightly say, they're appearing in the same empty spaciousness. Okay. Now, go to the sensation of your head, but remember, you're a newborn infant. You don't yet know it's a sensation of a head. It's just a sensation. What is it appearing in?
The same space.
Okay. What about the sound of my voice?
Also in the same space.
The same space. Describe the nature of that space as best you can. You've already said it's empty. That's quite right. Can you find an edge to it?
No.
Does it have an age?
No.
Does it have a gender?
No.
A nationality?
No.
A size?
No. Not of its own.
Not of its own, exactly. And given that your thoughts, feelings, sensations, and perceptions are continually appearing and disappearing, and yet you have a sense of continually being yourself, from what is this sense of continually being myself derived from? What is the continuous element in your experience?
Being or being aware?
The space. Stay with the experiment, the space. The space in which your thoughts, the space in which your appearing and disappearing thoughts, feelings, sensations, and perceptions arises is continuously present. More accurately, ever present. It is from that you derive your identity, your sense of being me. You don't derive your sense of being me from a fleeting thought. If you did, every time a thought disappeared, you would feel a little bit of me has disappeared. But you don't feel that. You remain intact when the thought disappears. When the sensation of the head disappears, you don't feel a bit of me has gone. No, you remain the same, the space in which it appears. And that space doesn't appear in the sensation appears in the space.
Yeah, so there's sort of a sensation of I that appears in the space.
Yes, and now, like. And when you open your eyes now, immediately the world appears. And so you conclude from that, and you notice that you're seeing the world through your eyes. And you conclude from that that whatever it is that is seeing the world must live just behind your eyes. Close your eyes again, the world disappears. Open your eyes again, the world appears. Therefore you think whatever it is that is seeing the world must live in my head. It doesn't live in your head. It sees through your eyes, not with your eyes. Let me read you William Blake again. This life's dim windows of the soul distort the heavens from pole to pole and leads you to believe a lie when you see with, not through the eye. This life's dim windows of the soul, that's the eyes. These dim windows through which we perceive the world. This life's dim windows of the soul. The eyes through which the mind looks, distorts the heavens from pole to pole. The heavens means the reality of the world. This life's dim windows of the soul distorts the heavens from pole to pole. The sense of seeing through which the mind perceives the world distorts the reality of the world and makes it appear as a multiplicity and diversity of things. That is, when we think we see with the eyes, rather than understanding that we see through the eyes. Infinite consciousness sees through the eyes, but it is not located in the eyes. So you see, if you stay close to your experience, you don't experience awareness in the head. You don't experience yourself in the head. You experience the head as a sensation which appears in awareness. It's only because of the sense faculties are all arranged around the face and head that we think that whatever it is perceived lives inside the head. But
Yes,
it's not actually our experience.
I think I was misidentifying a sensation as
Yes, exactly.
being
That
like
sense,
the sensation of I.
Yeah. No, there's no sensation of I. The sensation appears in the eye of awareness.
Okay.
Go in the eye, not the EYE, the eye, the sensation. There's no sensation of I. There's a sensation that mimics I. We feel that this sensation in the head is what I am. No, that's the sensation mimicking I, pretending to be I. But the sensation is just a sensation. It's appearing in the true I of awareness.
I get it. Thank you.
Nice to meet you, Anne.
A pleasure.
Oh, time's up. So the hour has flown by. This is the first time we've done this Q&A live stream session with a screen like this. So just so that all of you at home realize what we normally do, any of you that have attended these live stream Q&As before, normally I would have someone, Francesca or Ruthie or someone would receive emails from questions by people from email, and then Francesca would read out, this is a question from Mary in Colorado, and then read the question, and I would look at the camera, trying to visualize Mary in California, in Colorado, try and feel Mary in Colorado and speak to her, and then that's difficult for me because I really I don't like responding to a camera. I like to feel the person and what's behind the question. And so anyway, we did our best with this simple technique. Anyway, this is the first time that we've now had this. So for those of you at home, I'm now looking at a big screen. where that Ron and Karen have set up. So I'm seeing you, whoever is asking a question. I'm seeing you just in almost exactly the same way that I'm seeing those of you that are attending here in person. And then we have a screen here to the right of me where everyone who is attending in person, you can see it on the you can see it there on your screen, where everyone who is attending in person can also see you asking the questions. So it's a beautiful technology that really enables me to really feel you and respond to you, and it enables all of us to see you. So we really feel that you are just present here with us. So Ron and Karen, thank you so much for arranging this. It's really wonderful. Okay, thank you everyone at home. We'll do this again on Wednesday evening, same time on Wednesday evening. Good night. Bye.
Just Rupert, I would like to just let everybody know that I am going to open the breakout room now.
Oh, lovely.
For them for one hour. So you can join the breakout room, and if you have any trouble, just send me a chat, and I'm happy to help you get into it. Okay, thank you.
And the breakout rooms are lovely. They are the online version of all of us chatting around the dinner table together.